This is probably the biggest change in the accounting industry since bookkeeping. What am I doing there? 9 times out of 10, I don't need to be there. Do you know, because my team are so good. This is what I want from you. Here are 200 clients. Look after them, understand what they want, and make sure you deliver. They need to be treated like children. Now, when the teacher runs out the classroom, everyone runs riot. You're a babysitter. If that's what your team will generally be like, get rid of them. Get rid of it.
Habibis, welcome to another episode of Habibis Numbers with me, the Chief Tech Habibi, Ayman from Scope. At Scope, we help you choose the best cloud-based solutions for your business, whether it's an SME or an accounting firm. We basically help you choose the best thing that's out there, and we help you implement them as well. On today's episode, we've got another awesome guest, Arun Sachdev. So imagine a parallel universe where I'm an Indian accountant living in the UK. This is what I would probably be like. So we had a really cool chat about everything from taking over the family business, which was attracting kind of low-paying clients, and turning it into a really premium brand. And we also talked about the difficulties of hiring in the UK accounting scene, and the role of technology and how embracing digital tools is able to help firm owners extract themselves from the business and be more strategic and get a bit more time back to do the things that they want to do. As I said, really cool episode. It was like looking in the mirror when I was talking to Arun, and you'll see exactly what I mean. Enjoy the episode, guys. Arun, good to have you.
Thank you very much.
How you been?
I'm all right. I'm enjoying the sun.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, we're trying not to think about going back. But,
yeah, I mean, pleasant change, I imagine.
Yeah.
We actually met for the first time about a year ago now, right?
Yeah, exactly a year ago when it hammered it down with rain.
We'll make it an annual occurrence.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we did bump into each other again last time at XeroCon in the UK, so you're very much still in the scene.
Yeah.
Let's kind of, so what I want to talk about today is your experience kind of getting into accountancy, your digital accountancy journey, what you've learned, the goods and the bad. And yeah, let's get into like where it all started. So tell me a little bit about you, your firm, and then take us way back to how it all began.
Okay. Well, I'll start from the beginning. So my family are from India. So my grandfather came over in the 60s, got a job at Solihull College teaching accounts. And yeah, he went about his day job, just him. And in the evenings, they used to, all the local kind of Indian men, because none of the women were here, they used to meet up in the pub. And in 1972, VAT was introduced. And so the local kind of shopkeepers, taxi drivers, small business owners, they had to start accounting for VAT. And none of them knew how to do it. The accountants wouldn't touch it. So they asked my grandfather, said, look, you're an accounting lecturer. Can you do our VAT returns for us? And he's like, no, I'm just a teacher. I don't do the stuff. But I think a few drinks got consumed and a few pound notes may have changed hands. And he got convinced to start doing VAT returns. Within 6 months, he's making more money doing VAT returns than he is teaching at the college. So he quit the job and set up Sachdev Accountants at the time. So that's 1972. And yeah, the firm's grown since then. He then brought over my dad and his brothers. If you weren't at school, you were in the accountancy practice doing VAT returns, on your bike, going to clients to collect the paperwork, bring it back to the office, processing the paperwork. And it just grew from there. Then Dad qualified in 86, joined the practice in 88, and then I qualified in 2011, joined the practice, took over the practice in 2014. And then, yeah, it's gone from strength to strength ever since.
Proper family business then.
Yeah.
Did you have a choice?
No. Well, actually I did, because there's, in Asian families, there's a hierarchy of professions. There's doctor, dentist, pharmacist, accountant, and that's it. So I basically made the fourth rung. Was supposed to be a doctor, as all my cousins and siblings are, but I'm the black sheep and went into accountancy. But yeah, never looked back.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, being a doctor is a really intense job, I would say, obviously depending on the type of doctor, but I don't think it's for me personally.
Yeah, I think you're either that way inclined or you're not.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it, I'm the only one who has made every single Christmas dinner.
Amazing.
Yeah, someone's always missing because they have to work. So at least we don't have to do that.
Yeah, and I have to say, you probably don't look like a typical accountant. You rocked up here in t-shirt, shorts, man bun.
Yeah.
Who inspired that?
Mate, you know it was you. You know, it was Well, you're the first person in the accounting industry that didn't look like an accountant. And I said to my wife, this is a year ago, so I met a chap called Ayman today. He's got long hair. I'm going to do it. So this is 1 year in the making. I think I've got a couple of years to go. But yeah, I'm enjoying it.
It suits you, man.
Well, my wife likes it.
That's all that matters
Exactly.
at the end of the day.
Yeah,
At the end of the day. But no, to be honest, once you got this far, I've been through this journey. I went through it during COVID. So I had the awkward stages at home.
Yeah.
And anyone that's grown their hair will know about awkward stages when you're growing it out.
Yeah.
There is a bit where it's just...
It's when
like,
the
you
sides...
don't want anyone to see you.
No, exactly. It's when the sides don't connect to the back. You just got this kind of afro thing coming out.
Yeah,
You look like
that's
Krusty the Clown.
Yeah, and you don't quite know how to sort it out and tame it. But
Yeah, just a lot of product. But it's reaching the back now, so...
yeah. I remember I had a stage where I was putting like little clips on the side to stop them falling. Now I figured out I can thin it and...
So you're tall, so people have to look up to notice that. With me, it's very much a high level. Like, why have you got clips in your hair?
Yeah. It's all good, man. It suits you anyway,
Thanks.
and I'm glad I was able to have some kind of positive impact in your life. Yeah.
I think I WhatsApped you. I was like, bro, I've got a weird question for you. How long did it take you to grow your hair?
I was wondering what was coming next.
Yeah.
Like after that, I've got a weird question for you.
Not in Dubai.
Okay, so like you're in the accounting scene now in the UK. 2014, you said you took over the practice.
Yeah.
What's that journey look like? What was your immediate priority, let's say, when you came in there?
Yeah, it was, I'd only known accountancy from my dad's perspective. And dad was very much, it's a survival game. That was his opinion of business. Because my dad had MS. So he was kind of disabled. He couldn't really leave the chair, leave his chair. So we worked from home. The council gave us permission and we could operate from home because of his disability. But he very much sat behind his desk and did the work. And so clients would come to him. And effectively, he was scared of losing clients based on price. Very much, which echoes the scene in Dubai at the moment. Like, be the cheapest. Some of the jobs he did and the prices he charged. Honestly, I look back and, yeah, it was pretty rough because he was just so scared of losing clients.
Was that even after the business was established? Because I can understand it to some extent. Like early on in a business, people were just like, I need some money through the door, right?
Yeah.
Was this even after it had been established, like still taking on less than ideal clients?
Yeah, absolutely. We were in an area of Coventry called Foles Hill, which is the Indian area. It's the south all of Coventry. And therefore, if you're an Asian firm with an Asian name in an Asian area, you're going to attract Asian clients, and Asian clients want everything for cheap. Sorry, that's not a derogatory remark, but it's the reality.
I mean, you can say,
yeah. If it's about Lebanese people, you could make that remark. And that was a fear. It was like, well, we have to be the cheapest. We have to compete on price, because everyone was the same. Every accountant was doing the same thing the same way. So why would you pay more? Their opinion was tax is tax. I don't need any advice. Just file my accounts and do it as cheap as possible and get my tax down. That was it. And that was the ethos until I took over.
So what did you change?
I think I met people outside of the industry which showed me the way you're doing stuff is not right. It's not the way to do it. The first experience was in 2011. I had a dentist client come to me, said, I know you specialise in dental. I'm already on zero. Just take over the subscription. I'll do the bookkeeping. You just do the accounts. And I asked the worst question at the time, what's zero? This is 2011. And he looked at me like I just kind of handed him a dead cat. He went, what do you mean, what's zero? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he showed it to me. So a prospective client, he showed me this software, and honestly, it blew my mind. It's like, you mean we don't need bank accounts? We don't need bank statements? He went, no, it comes into this software automatically. I was like, but what about your account system and our account system? He's like, no, we all work off one. And it's one of those moments you're like, whoever thought of this is a genius. This is probably the biggest change in the accounting industry since bookkeeping was invented. It was just a game changer. And then we started to reluctantly move a lot of clients from the old accounting software to Xero. And that came.
Was that a certain green desktop software?
No, we never touched the green one.
Okay.
We toyed around with the desktop version of QB. We actually had this bit of software.
Which is also green, to be fair.
It is also green, but probably not the one that you're talking about. We actually had a bit of software called Money Manager.
Okay.
So...
It's before my time.
Mate, it's before anyone's time. The latest version was upgraded in 2000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So Money Manager 2000 was the last release. We were still using it up till probably 4 years ago.
Okay.
It was very much a double entry bookkeeping software. You needed a 32-bit machine to run it, and you just processed everything. And if you wanted to change something, you would just change it. There's no audit trail. Like, you could effectively make the accounts whatever you wanted. And that's what we used for 30 years. And then we thought we'd move this. And everyone but one person in our practice played ball. But you've got the older type that just went on the shift.
How did you convince those guys? Because I think there's going to be lots of firms out there. I mean, you described a conversation that you had of a client coming to you in 2011 talking about Xero. It was still, Xero was very much in its early days then, particularly in the UK. I think it came to the UK around 2009, having only been set up in 2006 over in New Zealand. Now, you've talked about a conversation you've had about our system, your system. Believe it or not, that's very much the reality still in the UAE today, in much of the Middle East. I think probably even in some parts of the UK, I imagine there's still clients that are working in that way. What was the key thing that you found that you were able to talk about and convince people in your team? Because it's all good and well you as a practice owner making that decision, right? But as you rightly touched on, the change impacts more than just you. You've got people that you don't want to potentially alienate. Maybe there's some client managers in there that have lots of clients that they've built up a portfolio of over the years. You don't want to upset them. You don't want to risk losing them, right? How did you tackle that?
So from a client perspective, you've got to show the benefits to the client. So for the client perspective, it's like you struggle to get the paperwork together, especially the bank statements, because bank statements got delivered, once a month by post. Everyone had a different bank statement date. So if your bank statement ended on the 28th of the month and your VAT was on, say, the 28th of March, you've got till the end of April to do it. But the 29th, 30th, 31st of March transactions aren't going to be until the 28th of April bank statement, which probably take 3-4 days to come. They're kind of delivering the first lot of paperwork and then waiting another month to get the last bank statement. They're keeping paperwork in a shoebox. For them, driving to Coventry or going to the post office, paying for postage to drop the paperwork off to us was a nightmare. So the biggest sell was, you never have to come to our office. You never have to deliver everything. The bank statements, we'll get the transactions ourselves, provided your bank support it. Now every bank supports bank feeds, but at the time, very few banks did. So we can get the bank statements ourselves, or you can email us the bank statement and we can convert it to CSV and upload it.
Yeah.
And then we're going to give you these apps like Xero to make your own invoices. And that just leaves the receipts. And at the time, Receipt Bank, you could basically upload it to them or stick it in an envelope, post it them for free, and they would process it and upload it for us. So the work involved by the client, basically reduced to nothing. So that was the biggest sell. For the staff, they had done stuff a certain way for a certain amount of time. I remember this was 2011, so Dad was still around.
Yeah.
That came with some resistance. But you remind them that when they started out, they were doing stuff on T accounts, on paper ledgers, and now they're using a computer. This is just the next step forward.
Yeah.
Have faith, and luckily it paid off.
Yeah. I mean, I bet most firms I speak to from the UK that I know that have been through that transformation, they can't imagine ever going back. Not one person has said, oh, we did that.
Yeah.
And then we decided that it wasn't for us.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I tell every client. We still have clients who come in and say, so our office doesn't have a letterbox. Bit of a flaw from my point of view. So I built my office from scratch and I didn't put a letterbox in. And afterwards I thought, I made a mistake here.
Does it pass building regs?
I'm not sure. That's the builder's job. But afterwards I thought, we should put one in. But actually, no, we don't need one. Because if we're going to be completely paperless, why do we need a letterbox?
So you chose Xero and what was Receipt Bank at the time, but is now called Dext.
Yeah.
Why did you choose those two?
Yeah.
And how did you convince your staff to move off of the old, probably some spreadsheets, I imagine.
Yeah.
Money Manager you mentioned.
Yeah.
QB Desktop.
Yeah.
So you talked about how you convinced the clients, but I know lots of accountants not all of them are natural salespeople. Were they comfortable having those conversations? Firstly, were they convinced? And then were they convinced enough to then convince the clients?
They weren't originally convinced, but when we would invite them in, they would bring their paperwork, and we'd pull them in and say, just sit with me for 15 minutes. This is what I'm about to do with all your paperwork. And so before, 10 years ago, we would basically bundle it up in an envelope, put it in a Dex envelope, and put it in the post. Say, that's what we're going to do with your paperwork. So you've come to Coventry only for us to basically stick this in a letterbox. Why don't you do this, just do this bit yourself? Then they were convinced on that. And then obviously the product changed. You could email in receipts. You could use your app. So most people kind of under the age of 50 were like, well, I can do that. I can get my wife to do that. I can get my kid to do that. Like, yeah, just do that. Just snap away. So we got less and less paperwork coming through the door. And when we take on new clients now, one question that they ask, and this is in 2025, is how often do I need to bring the paperwork to you? And the fact that people still ask that, it makes me think how behind even local firms in the UK are. I know you mentioned firms here that still work like that.
Yeah.
But, in a fast-paced environment like the UK, there are still clients telling me that. And when I say to them, I never want to see your paperwork. I never want to see your invoices. I don't want to see your receipts. And I don't want to see your bank statements. And you show them how to do it. They look at you a bit like, nah, that's not real. And then after the first quarter, and you say, the quarter's done, your VAT return's done. If you want management accounts, they're done. It's like, but I'm giving you the paperwork. I don't need it. I've got it all because your wife's been snapping away at the receipts. You're already producing your invoices on Xero, and your bank are sending me the transactions directly. It's all done. That's a bit of a game changer.
I genuinely find it bizarre, even though I've worked with lots of accounting firms and I've heard about this way of working.
Yeah.
I started my business only in the last couple of years, and I decided early on I didn't want to use our sister company in Malta's finance team to do all the bookkeeping early. I wanted to do it for at least the first 6 months myself to kind of get to grips with things. And immediately I was using Xero, and we still are using Xero. And I mean, we partner with other companies, other accounting softwares as well, but we chose Xero. Our team is familiar with Xero. I'd come from Xero, right? So it was only right to go down that route. I had the familiarization. And I decided, early on, I'm just not going to keep receipts and invoices like paper.
Yeah.
I'll always take a photo of it, upload it through HubDoc at the time. I'm now using Dext.
Yeah.
And it just feels so much easier. I couldn't imagine having to hoard invoices and receipts and then bring them to my accountant periodically, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, once a year.
Yeah.
Like I struggle already kind of like, try and keep up to date records enough to be able to get as close insights as I like. I like to just have things up to date as much as possible so that I know how things are going.
Absolutely.
I couldn't imagine not knowing until a few months after year end how my business is doing financially. It just sounds bizarre.
Yeah. But I think it depends if you're a businessman or an entrepreneur. I think that's the differentiation. We were talking earlier before we started this. I mentioned to you that I don't do anything. If there's a job that needs to be done, I don't do it because that's not what I got into business for. I'll gladly pay someone else to do it. So if there's a tool where I don't have to keep receipts, that job is taken. I'm the one who ultimately buys the coffee or the stationery or whatever. But I take a picture, and that job is now no longer mine. In the old days, we'd have to keep that paperwork for 3 months. I'd have to come home and find a place to put this receipt, and every 3 months drop it off at the accountant. That's just mental. So what we're effectively doing, obviously we charge for this service. The software is not cheap, so we have to incorporate it in our price. Mm-hmm. For someone who's just trying to, let's call it what it is, just be tight, like, I just want the fee as low as possible. Like, they're not our client, because that's just not how we work. We're there for the entrepreneurs. The person who says, just take this headache away from me. I just don't want to be involved in any of this. I want to run my business. I want to focus on the vision, the plan for the future. I'm not interested in keeping receipts. Just every quarter, make sure my VAT's done, make sure my management accounts are done. Every year, make sure the accounts are done. And if I want data, make sure it's readily available. They're the kind of clients that we want. And someone who sees value in that, in taking that headache away, that's our ideal client.
So did you see, having made that change, right? So I imagine you restructured your pricing. how you did that. You incorporated the software costs, etc. And then you're making this shift about, rather than just accepting any clients that come to your door, you're now being more selective. Did that mean that you were losing revenue? Or was there a transition period? Like, what did that look like? Because I imagine there'll be people out there that maybe they want to make this change, but they're too worried about losing clients or not being able to secure enough business.
Yeah. I think you've got to look at your client base and ask yourself, if I increase the fee, will these clients leave? And if they do, then actually you're not doing your job very well. I always talk about my IT company. I've got a great IT company. In 17 years, I've never asked anyone else what their price was. And if my IT company, and hopefully he doesn't watch this, but if he doubles the price, I'll just say yes. Because IT is absolutely essential to my business. And if my IT system doesn't work, we're in serious trouble. So I trust that he's not ripping me off, but I have absolute faith in him that he's increased his price for a reason. And actually, I know the value of what he's offering me, and I'll just pay it. And I look at my clients and think, I reckon I could increase most of their fees and they won't leave, because there's a trust there. There's a trust that I'm not ripping them off. If I increase the fee, it's for good reason. And actually, I've done such a good job and I've built up so much goodwill over the years that they will stay. And look, if I increase the fees by 30% and I lose 5% of the clients, well, I'm still 25% up. So does it really matter? The biggest shift for us was moving our office. So like I said, we were at home, we were in our garage. And that's just the reality. We cramped 5-6 people into this tiny garage, just on each other's toes the whole time. We moved to state-of-the-art offices, which we built ourselves. And I made them beautiful. Look, we're in Dubai. Everything's beautiful here. And we like it here because this is kind of where we feel happy. We like this level of luxury. I try to replicate that in Coventry. It's a hard push.
Have you got many Burj Al Arab in your...
I wouldn't go that far, but I've done it nicely. And so when you come to see us, like you said, if you walk to the Burj Al Arab, you're not going to be getting the price at the Premier Inn, are you? Mm-hmm. And same when you come to us, you get offered a beautiful drink. We've got a massive selection of soft drinks, Coke, Fanta, Orangina, whatever you want is there in a beautifully laid out fridge. We've got the aromas going on from like similar ones you get in the 5-star hotels here. So when you walk in and you're greeted by our lovely practice manager, she gives you a menu. If you think this is going to be cheap, you should know within 30 seconds, right, this is a premium level service. There's going to be a premium price attached. Yeah. In our car park, every day, there's a supercar parked in our car park because most of our clients have them.
Is it yours?
One of them is mine. The others are not. But everything surrounding it lets you know this is not going to be cheap. So you should be already prepared. And therefore, when we do deliver the price, no one falls off their chair. We're not ridiculously expensive. But it's a reflection of what we are and what we do.
It's a premium offering.
Correct. And 9 out of 10 clients say yes. And no one ever leaves, which is where it's satisfying for us because we know we're doing a good job. Everyone moans that whenever you get a price increase, no one goes, oh, thanks very much, I love that. They go, oh, God, it's a bit expensive. I'm like, look, I have to do it. This is the situation. And they understand.
So it sounds like you've actually trying to establish consistency between your brand, your offices, and your pricing structures, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think many people appreciate how important consistency is when it comes to how you position yourself in the marketing. And I often come across businesses here that maybe look like they're big established accounting firms, been around a while. Maybe they've refreshed their branding, right? And it looks nice and modern. You show up at their offices and it looks like an office that you might have seen in the 1980s, let's say, with people really crammed into small spaces. And, part of that will be down to maybe high rents that are available. But even so, I think there's a lot you can do to create an environment that not only is impressive for the clients, but creates a workspace, an environment that the top people would want to work in.
Yeah.
So talk to me about, let's move on to that. That's a nice segue into staff and hiring good people.
Yeah.
How much of a challenge is that?
Yeah, that in the UK, that is the biggest challenge. Getting clients isn't actually that difficult. Getting team members is. When I took over from Dad, that was a difficult period for the team. took over his team. And some were good and some weren't. And moving the poor people on was quite difficult because they'd been with Dad from the start. You know,
when you say poor people, I'd like to clarify. You don't mean people that are lower in the economics.
No. I don't mean their income. I mean their output.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say poor. Actually, it's probably unfair because they worked at the level that he wanted and they produced the work that Dad wanted. When you're telling them to change, to increase the offering, and probably change their personality, you know. I'll give you a classic story in a minute, which told me everything that I needed to know about a couple of members of staff. But moving them on and bringing new people in was difficult. And when you're working from a garage, you're never going to get good people coming into your door. It's just not going to happen. But the new office really helped that. Staff would see it and say, actually, wouldn't mind working there. And we're quite in quite a busy area, so people are passing our office all the time. So when people apply for a job, the first thing they say is, I know your building really well. I saw it got built. It used to be my bank. So it used to be HSBC. So I used to bank at that building, and then I bought it, knocked it down, and rebuilt what we have today. So that also gives them an incentive, like, well, the guy that I want to get a job with, he achieved this. I want to be part of that journey. So one member of staff, he'd been with us for nearly 20 years, took him on at 16. And I landed a massive client, huge Wolverhampton Wanderers fans. And the fee was in the tens of thousands a year.
Wow.
And they knew I was a big Arsenal fan. And they said, once a year, when Arsenal play Wolves at the Emirates, we want tickets. I said, no problem. So called up the Emirates, got 4 tickets. I sent them the tickets for the game. And they go, no. We don't want normal seats. We're paying you next month. We're a box. I thought, bloody hell. All right, fine. So the box was about $4,000. So it's about 10% of there. But I thought, you know what? There's only 4 of them. The box is for 10. I can get 6 other clients in. Really wow them.
Yeah.
So I got them all in. And the night before, one of the clients says, look, I can't make it. He had personal reasons for not coming. So 1 seat became available. So I asked our payroll manager at the time, do you want to come? This guy's a massive football fan. And he says, I'll let you know. Okay, it's a bit odd. This is the night before the game. Rings me back 10 minutes later, goes, yeah, I can't make it. So why not? He says, I've got Sunday lunch with my nan. And I just left it. And I explained to him a week later. You could tell I was annoyed. And he goes, why are you being offered me? I said, look, you have an opportunity. An opportunity came about. You've been with us for 19 years, okay? You're always saying, I want more, I want to do this, I want to do that. Here is an opportunity. No one knows who you are. He was the payroll manager. People just saw him as the guy that did the payroll. They didn't value what he was doing. Here was an opportunity to be in front of 7 or 8 of our biggest clients where they already know me. Here's an opportunity for them to get to know you. Whenever someone recommends us for our payroll, they say, go and speak to Aaron. Here was an opportunity for you to say, don't ask for Aaron, ask for me, because I'm the one who does it. I'm the guy, I'm the man, and promote me. Therefore, he can come to me and go, I'm now running this payroll division. The opportunity was there to see a great game, Arsenal versus Wolves, at the Emirates, in a box. There's legends there, amazing food, and you chose to have lunch with your nan. That told me everything I knew, and he was gone within 6 months.
I mean, well, it's questionable what the quality of football would have been, Arsenal versus Wolves, but we won't get into that.
You know, in the Champions League semi-final, yeah?
Yeah, I'm not. Those in glass houses. I'm a Man United fan. I can't really speak right now about quality of football. Having said that, it sounds as though the whole nan lunch thing was an excuse, and perhaps it was masking. Do you think it's a lack of ambition?
Yeah. I don't want to slate him. Hopefully he doesn't watch this. But sometimes it will take him 45 minutes to get to the office. Sometimes it will take him 20 minutes. So he would leave at 8:15 every day. If he got to the office at 25 to 9, you'd expect someone to come into the office and start work, crack on. And if you want to finish 25 minutes earlier, even if you don't, you've got a job to do, get on with it. He would wait in his old car till 9 o'clock and walk in at 1 minute to 9. That's very much that old school way of thinking, like clock in, clock out. That's not what we're doing. Like, we're not interested in the time you get in, they're not interested in the time you leave. I want people to produce. I want people to service our clients really, really well. And I will pay you.
Yeah.
But actually, that mentality wasn't for me.
So what's changed? So how do you find good people now? You said it's difficult. Are you able to find good people in the market? How are you having to resort to outsourcing? We're seeing lots of kind of outsourcing businesses crop up. Usually back offices in somewhere in Asia, be it in Southeast Asia, be it in Indian subcontinent, or elsewhere. Like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, so we don't outsource any bookkeeping. We don't actually outsource anything. We take on subcontractors. So all of our bookkeeping is done in-house. So we have apprentices because it's the same cost. You know, an apprentice in the UK, you know, a clever kid out of 18. Now, look, 10 years ago, you didn't get that because university fees weren't $9,000 a year. They were $3,000 a year. So clever 18-year-olds would think, actually, I'll just go to uni. It's not going to cost me that much. I'm not going to come out with a huge amount of debt, and then I'll get a job. Now at 18, you're getting top kids, let's call them kids, at 18 thinking, I don't fancy leaving university in 3 years' time with £50,000 worth of debt. Actually, if I'm getting the job now and get the same qualification I'm going to get in 3 years rather than 6 years, I'll do it. So actually, we're getting great 18-year-olds coming in. Our apprentice at the moment is absolutely great. So we do everything in-house. The only things that we do outsource are our head of tax. You know, we're not a massive firm, and therefore we don't need, you know, a CTA qualified superstar, which will cost 175, 180,000 pound a year salary. We can just subcontract out. So our head of tax, he works for us 2 days a week, and he's based on the South Coast. And then the occasional like VA, you know, so once, like now I'm in Dubai, I'm not looking at my emails. She'll handle that. So she's based in South Africa. But the core work that we do is all done in our office because we want to monitor the quality. And we're offering a high-end service. It needs to be done really well and properly rather than, you know, churned out in Bangalore or somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, it's having something within your control means it's more likely that you can get the quality that you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
Now, it wouldn't be the Digital Accounting Podcast if we didn't talk about the tech that you guys use. So we've already touched on the likes of Dext and Xero in your app stack. What other like apps do you think are really important, either for you as a business, and you don't have to necessarily name specific apps, but either you can, but more like categories of application that have really helped you as a firm, let's say, and your clients separately? Yeah.
So our app stack in the office is pretty simple. So it's Dext, Xero, Tax Calc. That's it. We don't, if a client comes to us and says, well, I use QuickBooks Online, say, okay, well, you have to move to Xero. The reason being, not because I don't like QuickBooks or don't like Sage or whatever, is that I've got a team of about 11 people. I'm going to train them to be the best on one bit of software. And look, if we get massive, we've got no plans to, where we've got, 5,000 clients, I can set up a Xero team, a QuickBooks team, a Sage team. But at the moment, switching software is pretty easy. We love Xero. We've been with Xero for 14 years. That's our favorite bit of software, and we'll only ever support that because all of our team are an expert at Xero, which means we don't have to rely on Xero support. We can just climb rings up. I've got this issue. You can't produce this. Don't worry. I've logged in. I've fixed it for you. You can carry on. Yeah, in seconds. Dext, I have a HubDoc. Dext, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. And we were with Iris, desktop software. Really hated it. It was so expensive. So moved to Tax Calc. So that's our core stream.
And for those that don't know, Tax Calc is AP,
correct, yeah, accounts production software. So nothing that kind of the general public need to know, but that's how we produce our tax returns and our accounts. Outside of that, any technical Xero add-on we give to you. So we recently gave you a client who deals in plastic distribution. They'd been with QuickBooks Desktop for 24 years. The main guy, he wasn't going to shift. That was his baby. QuickBooks Desktop did everything he wanted to in terms of his accounting and his inventory management. What he didn't know was everything that QuickBooks Desktop doesn't do. And obviously we introduced him to you guys. You promoted Sin 7 to him. And look, for the first month or two, there were teething problems, saying, oh, well, QuickBooks used to do this, and like dragging him in. But actually, a couple of months in, I think the questions on your side stop, questions on our side stop. And actually, his son came into the business and said, "This is brilliant," and he's just gone away with it. They can be in Dubai, Thailand, go on their phone, they can see exactly what's in stock. So if someone's texted them, say, "Can I have 5 tons of this material?" So yeah, I've got 5 tons in. Produce a sales order on his phone and it's done. Whereas before, you'd have to send a guy into the warehouse and go and count the bags and.
Yeah, it's chalk and cheese, I would say, in terms of experience. Once you get a dedicated inventory management solution, and Sin7's a great one.
Yeah.
Really, when you get into the weeds of what it can do, and I imagine they'll be unlocking more and more value from that over the years as they get more familiar with it. Yeah, it makes a huge difference to the operation.
Yeah.
And us at Scope, obviously, like we understand that lots of accounting firms, frankly, don't have the time to figure out which of these thousands of apps are going to be the right one for our firm. So,
but I think those accountants need to realize that, it's so easy to go, well, I'm not going to give it to someone else to take the money. I'll just work it out myself. Well, number one, it will take you not even hours, days, weeks, probably months to learn that software the way that you guys do. Number one. Number two, if anything goes wrong, you need to fix it. And we don't know how to do that. And the support, the client's going to be asking you, because you're the one who recommended the product, you're the one who implemented it, and you're trying to run a business. Yeah, you're being harassed by asking questions, well, how do I record this? This customer's returned this product, how do I do that? Like, you're better off giving it to someone like Scope and saying, look, you guys are the experts. This is what they're going to charge you. This is due to the client. So this is what they're going to charge you. This is what you need. You trust me. You've trusted me for X number of years to run your accounts. This is the next step that you need to do. Get it, and it'll revolutionize your business. And if you can give examples of that, like the plastic company, say this is what's worked for them, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. But in terms of the other apps that we use, so Pixie we use for our practice management, I think we'll probably be moving on to Carbon in the next kind of 2 years. Yeah. I just think we've outgrown Pixie. And the best app, other than Xero, that we use is Calendly. Calendly is a game changer in terms of when clients text me saying, have you got 5 minutes? Can I talk to you about this? I literally send them a link on Calendly and they can book that time in. Fathom AI is a great one that records all of our online meetings, so Zoom, Teams, Google Meet. It records everything. It then creates a transcript. It creates a to-do list. It's got a recording. You can search. So if we're discussing fees, I don't know whether that was 45 minutes into the call or an hour, I would type fee and it will bring up every time the word fee came up and it will jump to that.
Awesome.
Great bit of kit. Tech is, I don't have to say this to you, like tech is so critical now in accounting firms.
And are you an AI skeptic or someone that looking to embrace? So you've already mentioned you're using like Fathom AI for the recordings, and that's one element. Dext obviously has elements of AI within it. So does Xero in terms of the machine learning on the bank reconciliation. They're just bringing in JAX, so just ask Xero, which is like, it's not ChatGPT, but it's like a natural language query thing where you can ask it to do certain things, right? And it'll do it for you. What's your view on like how AI is going to be impacting or is already impacting accounting and how it may do going forward and how it might change the profession, if at all?
I think certainly the compliance work will become automated, and that's why we haven't invested a lot in India or Asia to do the bookkeeping. But I think the human side of the business, the decisions that you have to make, recruiting staff, advising clients what direction to go in, and really interpreting the data that comes out of the software, that's really where the value is. You mentioned earlier that firms in the Middle East, they just try and compete with each other on price. But this was us 20 years ago, right? Like my dad, just basically saying, we all do the same stuff. Let's just see if we can do it as cheap as chips. And what that means is then you get cheaper staff. And you get cheap staff, they're completely dissatisfied. There's no motivation for them to do anything. So I think those accountancy firms, certainly at our level and above us, they need to just focus more on the advisory, really helping their clients to get from here to here, rather than we will just do the basic stuff, which will get taken over by the machines, for as cheap as possible.
Got it. Now, a question that I sprung up on Reza, and I should have given you some warning beforehand, is probably the one we'll finish up on, which is, what is a harsh reality or a hard truth that you think other accounting firms, potentially more traditional ones that haven't gone on this journey, what is something that they need to hear, do you think, today?
That it's not all about you. That is, every accounting practice owner that I know, the traditional ones, they think that everything ends with them, that they are the center of the spider web. Every decision has to go through them. Every client only wants to speak to them. You know, I made that mistake because my firm's called Sachdev. I mean, my name's on the bloody door. Yeah, it's quite hard to get away from that.
Is that a hint at a rebrand soon?
Potentially. But it's not the truth. Our clients, they don't care about me. And I love that. There's one client, we're doing repricing at the moment, and I'm really worried to call him. He's been on the same fee for 9 years. I haven't spoken to him in 9 years. And I'm really scared to make that call. And like, hi, do you remember me? He's like, I've spoken to you in 9 years. You must want more money. I'm like, yeah, that's the reason I'm calling. That's a bad look, that the boss only calls. But actually, I don't need to call him because the account manager does everything. And actually, I probably should make the account manager make the call. If I wasn't here, he would still be our client. Most of our clients would still be our client if I wasn't here, you know. And if you really want to grow your accountancy firm, if you really want to grow a business, you've got to empower your team. Now, I've been here for a week. I'm here for another week, right? No one has messaged me. And I love that.
Are they scared?
No, I don't think they are. I asked my practice manager really openly the other day, because I want to start doing my own, I want to spend a bit more time just working on myself and my marketing and stuff.
Growing the man bun.
Yeah, exactly. I'm growing my man bun. And I said to her, well, she asked me the question, she goes, why do you come in every day? And I said, well, I just feel like I have to. I feel like it's just a done thing. I have my dad's voice in my head, say first one in, last one out. But you know, when I'm in the office, Ayman, I do nothing. I literally, sometimes I do nothing.
Just a pretty face, literally.
Yeah, literally, just a pretty face and a man bun. And what am I doing there? 9 times out of 10, I don't need to be there. Do you know, because my team are so good. And I asked my practice manager one day after 5 o'clock, whenever, I said, if I didn't come to work, would the work still happen? She was like, what do you think happens when you're on holiday? And we have this view, especially the traditional accountants and the firms that you're probably referring to, that if I'm not in, my team won't work. It's like, you know, the cat's away, the mice will play. If that's what your team will generally be like, get rid of them. If they need to be treated like children, now when the teacher runs out the classroom, everyone runs riot, then you're a babysitter. You're not a leader. You're not a boss. So if those are your people, get rid of them. Pay them well, yeah, and give them the direction. This is what I want from you. Here are 200 clients. Look after them, understand what they want, and make sure you deliver. Every few months, I'm going to call these clients and say, how are you getting on with Dave? And I want a glowing review. Just do that. I'll pay you what you want and make sure it happens. And then you can just step out and you can focus on marketing, getting better clients and growing the business. You don't have to sit there and say, I need to go through 500 tax returns this month because the client expects me to have done it. I think once you get out of that mentality, you know, I read something, you don't have a business, you have a treadmill.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you're doing. And your staff are more than happy. They're more than happy to do the bare minimum. You go, well, Arun's going to sit there and go through it eventually, so we'll just do the minimum, turn up at 9, leave at 5, see you later. I flip it on them. I go, you do the whole job. You're good enough, you're smart enough, you're capable enough. You do it from start to finish. And I will look after you. I will pay you more. Whatever you need, I will deliver for you. But this is what I expect from you. And just watch them do it.
It's so telling that both you and Reza made a very similar point when I asked this question.
Oh, really?
But also that, so all three of my guests so far, so yourself, Reza Huda, and Jerry Williams, have all got this idea that it's important to empower your people. The last thing you want is to be a bottleneck in the business. And isn't it true that most business owners, and I think of myself in this, most business owners don't get into business just to create more work for themselves necessarily. Obviously, I think most entrepreneurs and successful ones would like to always be challenged. However, it's also boring to get challenged with the same thing every time, right?
Absolutely.
So you want to extract yourself from the business at some point. At some point, depending on your age, you probably want to retire. Do you want a business that's that dependent on you? And it's very telling that all three of you have this idea that it's important for us to empower our people to help them grow. And this is what I did when I made my first hire here in the UAE. So Fahim, who I got over from QuickBooks in the UK, he wasn't necessarily the cheapest kind of candidate that I could have got. I could have gone really junior level, but then got someone in that I was going to have to handhold the whole time, right? For me, it was important to get someone that I could trust and to be able to hand more work to so that I can do the more strategic stuff.
Yeah. Well, if you're holding his hand, so now you've got a cost and you've lost your time. So what was the point? Yeah, you need to get top people in to completely take over the work that you're doing. But you make a good point. You know, a lot of businessmen, they're not businessmen, they're not entrepreneurs, they're operators. Yeah, The E-Myth is my favorite book. You know, you've got a girl that knows how to make cakes. She works at a bakery. She knows how to make cakes. And what do her family say to her? You should start your own shop. Do you know why? Because you're really good at baking cakes. So now you're baking cakes for yourself 12 hours a day. You're still a baker. You only start a business if you want to be an entrepreneur, when you want to get off the tools and actually run a business. And what you need to do is decide the things that you like. I haven't done a tax return in years. The only ones I do are mine and my wife's. You know, I don't even know how to do them anymore. I run my business because I like doing this. I like meeting you. I like doing podcasts. I like seeing Reza. I like recruiting staff. I like taking on new clients. I enjoy that bit because that's what I'm good at. I don't like producing accounts. So I think if you're going to go into business, you've got to understand why you're doing it. And if the answer is I want to make more money, that's a bad decision. You want to be able to run a business where you enjoy doing the parts of the business that you enjoy and to give you the freedom to do it when you want. You know, I only do Tuesdays and Thursdays in the office, half a day Monday, half a day Wednesday, half a day Friday. So I do 3.5 days a week. My dad would be turning in his grave, you know, because he did 6.5 days. He had Sunday afternoons off. And that's what he told me to do. And he did that into his mid-50s. I stopped doing 5 days a week in my mid-30s. But I have a better life than he does because I made it happen by making the right decisions and putting the right people in the right place. That's what an entrepreneur does. Don't sit there kind of going, right, give me all the work because I'm the best and I'll do it. It's a disaster.
Fantastic point to end on, I think, and really, really appreciate your time, Aaron.
No problem.
It's almost been like looking in a parallel universe where I was born Punjabi, but really good to have you on. Thanks again for listening to another episode of Habibis Numbers, sponsored by Scope. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more episodes where we're going to get more excellent guests like Aaron. Aaron, thanks again.
No problem. Thank you.
Until next time. Bye now.
Cheers. Bye.